I wanted to make another video about college because it's one of those subjects where I think there's a lot of common misconceptions about it. First of all, and I don't think this is a huge revelation, but you don't really need to go to college to be successful in life. If you haven't figured that out yet, then you probably should, especially if you're in a position where you haven't already gone to college or are thinking about going to college. There's been recent studies showing that the value of a college degree is diminishing as the increase in the rate of pay for college graduates has not been growing as fast as the cost of college tuition. I personally was somebody who was interested in things like audio engineering and video and all these different things, and I worked, like retail and other jobs like that before just getting sick of working crappy jobs and deciding to go to college. But most other people seem to be pushed into college or go to college right after high school when they're 18 years old instead of, what was I, 21, 22. And often it's like mommy and daddy want you to go, and people have a couple of ideas that I think are just completely erroneous. Number one, and it relates back to the whole being a philosophy major thing, that your college major equals vocation, and that's simply not true. Now, the economy's bad, but in a general sense, there are usually certain jobs which, having a college degree is essentially just a barrier to entry. It's their way of weeding out the mass of people who might apply, and so having a requirement that's they're not even going to consider you for the job unless you have a college degree, because once you have a college degree, it gets proven that you can show up somewhere consistently for 4 to 5 years or however long it took you to get your degree, and have writing skills and basic communication skills and the things that you're going to learn in college no matter what your major is. So what are you going to do with a philosophy degree? There's no jobs for philosophizing. No, there are no jobs for philosophizing. Well, actually there are, but they're sort of hard to get, like if you want to be a professor or be on the ethics board at a hospital or something like that. But aside from that, I mean, I have writing skills. I've known people who have gotten a degree in anthropology and then become a technical writer. It's just because they have a degree and they're able to have writing skills above that of a high school graduate. And the other thing is related to that is that a lot of people seem to go into college because they think that it's this instant ticket to the middle class, and I think that there are some people who just should not be in college. These people mostly hang around frat houses. I despise frat boys and frat mats, or they're calling them bros now, and sorority girls. Some of those, and those people always are the ones who I'm going to get a degree in business. Now, a lot of things in business are just common sense, and I'm probably better, have more business sense than a lot of these business majors. But people think that they're going to go to college and they're going to get a specific degree, and that's going to educate them, and then they're going to go out and get these jobs and make all this money. No, you still have to be competent. You still have to be able to teach yourself things. You still have to have leadership skills, management skills, common sense, business skills. And, school isn't necessarily going to teach you these things, especially if you spend all of your weekends or practically every night binge drinking and that sort of thing at a frat house. And I mean, there was one instance where I was in the student center, and they have tables in the student center for all these different groups. It's usually always sorority or frat house groups that have their little tables in the student center. And there was a group of about 3 or 4 bros, and they're out there selling random stuff. I think that they just went to the dollar store, bought a bunch of random stuff, put it on the table, and were begging people to buy it. And so they're like, oh, you want to buy our stuff? And it was like, I don't remember all of the different stuff, but it was like car air fresheners and just a bunch of completely random stuff. And they're like, it's for an entrepreneurial class, yeah. And then so basically I said, okay, yeah, it's for an entrepreneurial class. So what's your business model? Why are you doing this? And they're kind of like looked at me dumbfounded, like, business model? I mean, you mean we're supposed to actually think about what we're selling and why? And I was just like, no, I'm not buying your shit, and just walked away. I mean, I probably have far more business sense than any of these retards. But college is full of retards, and that this semester I'm taking mostly online classes, except for one philosophy class, and that's a lot of the reason I majored in philosophy is because that's the only classes that I could actually stand being in and that were actually interesting and had discussions and were thought-provoking. A lot of other classes, it was just in some of this it was more or less like this. Some of this was literally this, where the teacher would get a book and then they would either make PowerPoint presentations based on the book and then just like dryly regurgitate the PowerPoints, and you wonder, why am I sitting in this class? I can sort of understand why I'm paying for it, but why am I taking my time to physically come to this class and be around a bunch of like freshman retards who ask stupid questions? And I know there's no such thing as a stupid question. Yes, there is such thing as a stupid question, and especially the further on you go in school, and then for whatever reason you have to take some, Gen Ed class that requires you to be with freshmen, and they all are idiots and they all ask stupid questions, and you can predict everything that they're going to think or say before they even think or say it, and it's quite aggravating, to be honest. And even on the discussion boards in my online classes, it's just like, it's not even necessarily that they're stupid. It's like this is so predictable, and once you've understood the learning process and you're a little more advanced, it's just it gets boring, really, to deal with people who are somewhere behind you in the learning process and knowing things. I understand that for them they're getting all these great things out of it or whatever, but to me, I find it personally rather tiring to deal with. This whole thing about college is that because so many people I don't think they understand like the labor market or the purpose of a college degree or the purpose of education in general, and they're not really interested in it. They're doing it because they come from Long Island or suburban whatever, and mommy and daddy are middle class and they want them to go to college so that they're going to be middle class too, and they spend all their weekends like not really caring about what they're learning, and it's just an excuse to get a piece of paper, and go out and binge drink and go to frat parties and date rape sorority chicks and stuff like that. All of that about college I find absolutely aggravating. And if you have some sort of skill that you can get a job in that doesn't require you to go to college, by all means pursue that. College is expensive and often tedious, and it may or may not in the future really be worth it. And you can always educate yourself. Wherever you live, there's probably a library, there's the internet, all the information is out there. Yeah, you're in a sense, you're buying your way into credibility, and under certain circumstances, in good things like philosophy classes where you actually have meaningful discussions and are challenged to think, in other classes outside philosophy where that happens as well, that part of the college experience is worth it. If you can go to a really small college where you have the opportunity to, really have some sort of mentoring or tutoring from teachers and other people who can instruct you personally, that's good. But just being a part of the mill is in many ways a waste of time. I find that I personally, if you're ahead of the game, then rather than being, I know all this so I can, my papers are going to be that much better or whatever, it's just like, I'm a little ahead of the game, that's that much less effort I have to put into everything. And so it doesn't challenge you to really excel because you're just sort of going with the flock of the lower standards of everybody else. And this is rambling, but I don't know what else to say now that I've completely spun off into a ramble. Have a nice day.